Namaste, welcome to YogaCandi. I'm Candace and today I have a 40-minute balancing flow for you. This is going to be more suitable for strong beginners and intermediate practitioners, but of course if you're advanced feel free to join in as well. There's no need for any props today, but if you would like to, grab yourself a couple of yoga blocks or a couple of books, get something comfortable to wear, and I'll meet you over on the mat. Welcome to the mat, everybody. Let's take a comfortable seat and roll our shoulders back and down. Just close your eyes and we'll take a moment of gratitude here. Try to become present and forget about the rest of the day ahead. Try not to think about what's happened in the day if you're practicing in the evening. Just become aware of your breath as you're breathing in and out and your chest rises and falls. If any thoughts come into your mind, that's quite alright, it's natural, but allow them to pass and don't pay them any attention. Just take a moment here, thanking yourself and setting an intention for your practice today. It could be to gain more stability. It could be to gain extra awareness of the body. Bring your hands into your heart center. Just think about that intention for a moment. Try to carry it throughout the practice. And then rub your hands together, creating a warm energy between them. Keep on rubbing until they're as warm as you want them to be and place them over your eyes. Open your eyes behind your palms and take that energy all the way up and over the body, all the way to your feet. Namaste. Let's begin. We're going to start today's practice doing a few cat-cows. So if you'd like to join me, come onto your hands and knees. You can engage your Ujjayi breath here, breathing in as you look up and you drop the belly, creating that soft sea breeze sound at the back of the throat. Breathe out as you arch your back, breathing in as you dip the belly and look up. Do this at your own pace, listening to your body and listening to your breath. If any thoughts come into your mind, if you find yourself getting distracted, just come straight back to the breath. Really engage your core while doing this pose. And send your hips back and your shoulders and hands forward. Rest your head for a moment before we push ourselves up and back into downward facing dog. Let's take our dog for a little walk here. Stretching through those hamstrings, warming up the legs. Remember to have your feet around hip width distance apart and your hands about shoulder distance apart. Engage your core, sucking the belly in, drawing your shoulder blades apart, trying to see if you can get your armpits to look at each other. Breathe in and lift that right leg up into the air. Bring it in towards your nose and then back up into the air. Doing a little bit of core here. Bring it back into the nose, up into the air. Point those toes back towards the nose once again and up into the air. Let's bring that leg back down to meet the other. I'm going to do the same on the other side. First, just walk your dog out for a moment and lift that left leg into the air. Bend the knee and draw it all the way to your nose, sucking your core in as you do so. Bring it back up into the air. Breathing out as you bring it in towards your nose. Breathe in and put it back up into the air. I'm going to do this one more time. Breathing out, bring it to the nose. Breathe in and lift your leg up. Just place that foot right back onto the ground next to the other. Walk your dog for a moment. Just stick your tongue out and do a couple of lion breaths. Breathe in deeply through the nose Breathe out through the mouth and stick your tongue out. And now let's take a walk up to the front of the mat. Walk slowly. And when you get there, to start with, just bend through the knees and let your body drop heavy. Let your neck be heavy. If you want, you can place your hands on the floor or grab each elbow. Swing from side to side, yes and no. Whatever feels good. Just hang there for a moment. Straighten your legs if you would like to. Remembering to keep your core engaged and to keep breathing. Now roll your spine all the way up into mountain. Bring your hands up and over your head. Look at your palms, breathing in, breathe out and draw them into your heart center. Let's do that again. Breathe in, reach up. As you breathe, exhale, let's come down into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands on the floor and step back into plank. From plank, we're going to come down into chaturanga. Really taking your time. First, rock out that plank and come all the way to the belly. Come up into cobra. You can either do baby cobra, full cobra. Just listen to your body. Do whatever it feels is right today. Just feeling through this gentle back bend and sending your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Let's walk out our dog again. Have a little stretch, reaching your tailbone up towards the sky, and jump, step or hop to the front of your mat. Halfway lift, come down into a forward fold. Come all the way up to standing, slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Breathe in and reach your hands up to the sky. Bring your hands onto your sacrum or onto your hips, and let's take a back bend, pressing your hips forward, leaning your back backwards. Reach your hands up towards the sky, and let's come down into a forward fold once again. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out, place your hands down and step back into plank. Rock your plank out for a moment before we take a chaturanga. Rock back on your heels, come down into your chaturanga, all the way to the floor, and let's do cobra once more. Look back at one leg and then at the other. Come back down and let's come back into downward facing dog. Take your time getting there. Walk your dog out once again. And then become still. When you're ready, bend your knees, and if you can, jump to the top of your mat as lightly as possible. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out and perhaps even grab your ankles and pull yourself a bit closer, and then roll your spine all the way up to standing. Breathe in, grab your hands at the top and bring them into heart center. Place your hands back onto your sacrum and take your back bend, pushing your hips forward and allowing your head to roll back. Come back up into mountain, breathe in, lift your arms, and let's go back into forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out into your forward fold. Place your hands and jump back into chaturanga if this is in your practice, or step back into plank. And we're going to meet into downward facing dog. If you jumped into chaturanga, take your upward facing dog. Come into downward facing dog. Perhaps try not to untuck your toes straight away. And then let's just walk our dog out for a moment. Engage your core. Straighten through those legs. Lift your tailbone. Let's lift that right leg back up into the air. Stack your hips and open that hip out to the side, bending through the knee. Let's bring that knee in towards the chest and slowly place that foot between both palms. Come up into Warrior Two, making sure that your hips are open and your arms are out straight. Looking at those right fingertips, looking just beyond them. Try to make sure that front knee's at about a 90-degree angle. And come forward and let's come back into Reverse Warrior. Let's come back into Warrior Two. Straighten that front leg, come down into Triangle Pose. Make sure your hips stay open here. Rotating them. You can take your hand all the way to the floor if this feels good for you. And take that left hand up into the sky. You can look up at the ceiling. Don't worry if you lose your balance like I almost did. Feel free to take a bind here. Wrapping that left arm around the back and into the groin. You can bend through that leg and perhaps take a full bind. Opening up your shoulders, looking towards the ceiling with that front leg at about a 90-degree angle. Keep the back leg engaged. Release your bind and let's come back up into Warrior Two. Bend a little deeper in through that knee. And then let's take our arm forward, place your hands either side of this right knee, right foot. Bounce your lunge and place that knee on the floor for your low lunge. Allow gravity to do its work here, letting your hips sink a little further towards the ground. Feeling out and allowing that psoas to stretch. And then send your hips back for a half split. Allowing your head to drop forward. Really stretching through the back of that hamstring. Remember to square up your hips in this pose by pulling that right hip backwards and that left hip forwards. Engaging that front foot. Pointing it up towards the ceiling. Remember to breathe here. Come forward into your low lunge. Lift your knee up off the floor and let's come back up into our Warrior Two. Turn your foot to face the front and come up into high lunge. Frame your foot once again and let's step back into a three-legged downward facing dog, lifting your leg as high as you can up into the air. And if it's in your practice, perhaps take a one-legged chaturanga and then up into upward facing dog. Send your hips back and up into downward facing dog. Untuck your toes and let's walk your dog for a moment. Let's enjoy the breath here for a moment before we move on to the other side. When you're ready, let's lift that left leg up into the air so high that you end up stacking your hips, bending at the knee and allowing that leg to drop over to the side. Bring it in towards your chest, hold it and then place it between your palms as gently as possible. Bringing that back foot either parallel with the back of the mat or at about a 45-degree angle. The front leg at about a 90-degree angle. Come up into Warrior Two, stretching your arms out with intention. I've got a cat attacking my foot. Come forward and back into Reverse Warrior. Perhaps bring that palm to the other thigh and then come back into Warrior Two. When you're ready, straighten through the front leg and let's come down into triangle pose. Remembering to keep your back straight, you can place your hand all the way onto the floor if you would like. Opening up the chest, opening up the hips. Keeping that front leg as straight as possible. Grab the inner thigh, the inner left thigh with your right hand. We're going to come back into that bind, bend through the front leg, bringing your left arm underneath your left leg, and grab the wrist of your right arm, remembering to open through the chest, keeping the hips open. Maybe bend a little deeper into that front leg, keeping it around a 90-degree angle. Let's release that bind and come back up into Warrior Two. Come in a little deeper and let's roll our hands back down to the mat. Placing that back knee on the floor for your low lunge. Allowing gravity to do its work, stretching through the front of that muscle and the psoas. Keep breathing here, enjoying the sensation, and then let's send our hips up and back into our half split pose. Square off those hips by sending the left hip backwards and the right hip forward. Go as low as you would like in this. Relaxing the neck and still flexing that front foot. Keep breathing here, keeping the core engaged. Bend back through that foot and let's come up into a lunge, bouncing through those hips. Rotate on that foot and let's come up into Warrior Two once again. And then bring your foot to face the front. We're coming into high lunge. Look up at your palms. Square off your hips. Bring your palms back down to the mat. And we're going to come down into a three-legged dog. Keeping your leg up in the air for a moment. If you would like to play around with your three-legged vinyasa flow here. Come into plank, chaturanga, and then upward facing dog. You can take whichever flow works for you. Don't feel pressured during this flow today. Come back up into downward facing dog, and let's walk our feet out once again. Keep breathing and then sucking that core in. Breathe here for a moment. When you're ready, bend your knees and hop to the front of the mat. You can step or walk to the front if you would prefer. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out, forward fold. Place your hands underneath your feet, with your toes as close to the back of your wrist as possible. And maybe even point your elbows out to the sides and pull yourself a little deeper into this forward fold, enjoying the stretch through the hamstrings. And halfway lift as you breathe in. Breathe out back into your fold and place your hands on the floor. Come up with a straight back with your hips and bring your hands up to the sky and back into heart center for mountain. I'm going to face you just so you can see what I'm doing. Lift up that right leg. You can either place it below the knee, even on the ankle. We're coming into tree pose now. Or you can place it high up into your groin. Just don't allow your hip to fall to the side. Try to keep your hips as square as possible here. You can take your hands to heart center or up towards the sky and look up at your palms. This is a bit more challenging. So don't worry if you fall out of this pose. Just come straight back in. Really try to push that foot into the thigh or the ankle, wherever you've got your foot. to keep your balance. And bring your hands back down into heart center and release that foot, stretch it out in front of you. Perhaps it's take a yogi toe hold here, wrapping your index finger and your middle finger around your big toe. Standing up straight, squaring off your hips and straightening that leg if you can. You can either do a hand mudra out to the side or place your hand on your hip, whatever feels more comfortable for you here today. Just bring that leg back in and slowly, slowly place it back to the floor. Walk those legs out for a moment. That standing leg's done a fair bit of work here. Now let's lift the opposite leg up into the air and place it on your leg wherever you would like to have it. On your ankle, below the knee or above the knee, but not onto the knee. Keeping your hips squared, hands in heart center or up to the sky, and look up, breathe, engaging the core, being as still as you possibly can. If you fall out, it's quite all right. Keep breathing, keep enjoying. Fix your gaze on one point. This will help with your balance. And then let's bring your hands back into heart center. Stretch that leg out in front of you, if possible without touching it to the ground, and let's take our yogi toe hold. Wrapping your index and middle finger around your big toe, let's straighten that leg if possible. You can keep your hand on your hip or in heart center or out to the side in a mudra. Enjoy the stretch. And if, like me, you keep almost losing balance, it's quite all right. Slowly, slowly bring that foot all the way back down to the ground, and let's shake them out. Take your feet about mat distance apart, perhaps a little more. Hands into your sacrum and bend backwards. Hands up into the sky, and we're going to come down into Malasana, our yogi squat. With your knees completely spread apart, use your elbows to press into those knees, pushing the hips even further apart, dropping your bottom down towards the ground. Keeping your back as straight as possible and sucking your core in. You can keep your gaze in one spot or look down at the floor, wherever feels comfortable for your neck. And place your hands on the floor. Let's have a little play around with crow. You bend into your elbows and bring your knees up high into your armpits, as high as possible. Play around with lifting one foot then the other, and if possible lift them both up off of the floor. And just hold them there for a moment, breathing, sucking in your belly, and then bring them back down to the floor and straighten out those legs. Let's take another forward fold here, grabbing each elbow and just hanging. Breathe in and halfway lift. Breathe out, place your hands on the floor. Jump back into chaturanga if possible. Breathe in, come up into upward facing dog, and then down into downward facing dog. Let's walk those legs out one more time. Enjoying that stretch in the hamstrings. Keep breathing and keep that core engaged. If you can, take that right arm and grab the left leg. Let's take a twist in this downward facing dog. Enjoy that twist, and then let's take it over to the other side. Place your hand back down, grabbing onto the right leg, the right ankle or the right calf, wherever you can reach. Enjoy the spinal twist. And let's come back into downward facing dog. Walk your legs out if you would like to. And then let's walk to the front of the mat. And take a seat. Adjust yourself, give a little wiggle. Let's do a couple of line breath again. Breathe in and exhale as you stick your tongue out and look up towards the ceiling. Breathe in deeply and let's roll back onto our sit bones and come into boat pose. You're welcome to hold onto the back of the knees or place your hands out in front of you. If you want to get even deeper into this pose, you can straighten your legs. Make sure that your back is straight and your core is engaged. Whatever feels more comfortable for you today, you can straighten and bend through the legs. And bring them back down. Let's do a couple of spinal rolls. Roll back onto your spine, legs all the way over and then back up to a seat. Just keep doing this if it feels good. If it doesn't, you can skip this and sit in child's pose. On the last roll, roll back up into boat pose and stay there. Come all the way down slowly to the mat. Let's lift our legs up into the air and come into happy baby. Grabbing the outside of those feet, pulling the knees in towards the armpits. Perhaps rocking from side to side, rocking out the lower spine. Pull them in even closer. And let's release them back down to the floor. Come up into a seat with your legs stretched out in front of you, bringing your arms up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, let's bend down into a forward fold, grabbing either your wrists or you can grab one wrist with the other behind the feet if you want to get even lower, or you can use a block if you have one handy. Use it with either the shorter or the longer end and place it behind your feet and really pull yourself in as close as you can to the front of your thighs, keeping your back as straight as possible and your legs as straight as possible. Breathe into this deep hamstring stretch. And then let's come out of that. Place your block over to the side or your book, if you had one. Now we're going to come into shoelace pose. So perhaps come forward and try to get your knees as close together as possible. Move that back foot out so that both your sit bones can sit onto the ground evenly. You can either sit up straight and just place your hands onto your knees and allow this beautiful side stretch, IT band stretch to do its job for you. Breathe, sit up straight, suck your belly in and enjoy the sensations. If this is a little too intense for you, then you can always straighten one of the legs. Straighten that bottom leg out in front of you and only do the top leg. Come out whenever you're ready. Never feel pressured. Close your eyes and enjoy this moment. When you're ready, using your hands, let's bring that foot back up to the middle and let's swap over to the other side. For those of you that find this too intense, remember you can straighten that bottom leg and just have the top leg placed on top in a half shoelace. Sit comfortably on both sit bones, placing your hands on your knee and your back straight. Close your eyes and enjoy the stretch. Concentrate on your breath and then on the sensations in the body. Enjoy the silence. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. When you're ready, let's help that leg back over to the middle. We're going to come out of this pose now. Let's come into butterfly. Placing your feet close together, letting your knees flop out to the side. Sit up straight, grab your feet, and let's take our butterfly for a little fly over the Thames. Okay, I'm in London, so wherever you are, flap your wings. And become still and then lean forward. It's quite alright if your back is curved. In this position, we don't have to have a straight back. If you would like to, that does make the stretch a little more intense. Allow your head to hang heavy. And then come back up and helping your knees up with your hands. Let's windshield wiper these legs from side to side. Now let's lie back onto our backs with your arms stretched out into a T next to you. Wrap one leg over the other. Perhaps even take eagle legs here. For me, I'm doing the right over the left, and I'm taking full eagle bind and letting them fall over to the left side, with my head falling to the right side. Enjoy this spinal twist. Breathe into the side body. Breathe into all four corners of your rib cage. If you feel discomfort anywhere, try to send the breath directly to that area. Breathe in and come out of that twist. We're going to take it over to the other side, wrapping the left leg over the right, and either a full eagle bind or just once over. Letting your head fall over to the left and your legs over to the right. Breathe, stay present, and enjoy this moment that you're giving to your body. Breathe in and let's bring our legs back up to the center. Let's unravel and come into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Allow your feet to be more than hip distance apart, falling out to the sides. Your arms should be a few inches away from your midriff. Your hands pointing up towards the ceiling and your fingers in their natural curve. Let your breath return back to normality. Enjoy this moment. Feeling the weight of your body as it connects with Mother Earth. As you sink into the mat, feeling your chest rising and falling as you breathe in and out. Relax every part of your body. Even relax the tongue in your mouth. Relax the space between your eyebrows. Relax your cheeks and your lips. You can stay in this position as long as you would like. For those of you that are ready to get on with your day, start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch your hands up over your head. Start to wiggle through everything. And just take it over to the side body. And when you're ready, push yourself up into a comfortable seat. Place your hands on your knees. Let's take a moment here to thank ourselves for coming to the mat today. Place your hands into your heart center. Bow your head in grateful thanks. Rub your palms together and get them nice and warm. When you're ready, place those warm palms over your eyes. Bat your eyes behind your palms. And take that energy up and over your body all the way down to your feet. Namaste.